If you are suffering from anxiety, chances are you're experiencing all kinds of strange and intense physical sensations. You might be having waves of anxiety, panic attacks, and heart palpitations. On top of that, you might be experiencing feelings of unreality, like depersonalization or derealization. These physical and mental symptoms can make you feel like there is something seriously wrong with you. So in today's episode, I'm going to explain why anxiety creates all these strange sensations, why you need to stop worrying that there's something wrong with you, and then I'm going to explain how you can overcome your symptoms so you can get back to living a normal life. Let's begin. If you're struggling with health anxiety, you're not just worried about your health. You're actually feeling physical symptoms, sometimes really intense ones, and it's making you think that something's seriously wrong with you. When you have anxiety, you can feel any number of physical symptoms. For instance, you might have chest tightness, heart palpitations, dizziness, and intense panic attacks. With such strange symptoms, your mind instantly jumps to the worst case scenario. You can find yourself worrying that you might have some strange condition or disease, or that you're even going to pass away. So if you're like most people, you'll begin searching Google and online forums, hoping that someone somewhere can explain what's happening to you. But on there, you can find all sorts of scary diagnoses, from cardiac issues to a brain tumor. And when you see these types of possible diagnoses pop up, it can terrify you. And you're already anxious and afraid, but the possibility of having something seriously wrong with you sends you even farther down the worst case scenario rabbit hole. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. Don't use Dr. Google to try to figure out what's wrong with you. It's going to throw out all types of possible conditions and illnesses, regardless of how rare or remote they might be. All that's going to do is scare you, just like it did for me when I had anxiety. Instead, you need to go to your doctor and get everything checked out. Your doctor can do a series of tests and see if there's anything wrong with you. Now, if your doctor tells you that there's nothing physically wrong with you, but instead you're simply suffering from anxiety, then you have to trust that diagnosis. Don't get back on Google or dive down into forums. Trust that you are fine and what you're experiencing is entirely related to anxiety. All right, so now we get to the question of, why is my body creating such strange and intense sensations if there's nothing physically wrong with me? Why would having anxiety cause me to feel these symptoms? Well, it's all about your nervous system. When you have anxiety, that is your nervous system being stuck in overdrive. When this happens, your body is frequently engaging its fight or flight response. Normally, this response is designed to protect you from physical threats. It can help you get out of the way of an oncoming car or allow you to sprint away from a large barking dog. It's actually a fantastic biological response that has helped keep us alive for hundreds of thousands of years. But when your nervous system becomes overactive and sensitized, it is triggering your fight or flight response when it's not needed. It is engaging that response when you're perfectly safe. And that is what is triggering those feelings and sensations of anxiety that you're experiencing. What's important to understand is that the sensations you're experiencing, whether it be the panic attacks, the chest tightness, the heart palpitations, they are all being caused by anxiety. Anxiety can create so many different symptoms that I won't even take the time to go through them right now because there's so many. But what I will do is at the end of this episode, I will pull up a huge list of symptoms so that you can identify everything that you're experiencing. All right, here's a side note. I've been told countless times by anxiety sufferers that they've been told by either a doctor, their spouse, or a friend that these symptoms might be in their head. But please don't buy into that for 1 second. The symptoms you're experiencing are real and they can be extremely intense and scary. The key, though, is that there's not something physically wrong with you. You don't have some terrible illness or disease. You simply have anxiety. So what do we do when we have anxiety? Well, before we talk about that, it's important to understand what you're doing right now. Your current approach to anxiety likely involves one or more of the following. Number one, you're trying to fix it. You search online, try new treatments, and go from one doctor to the next, hoping that you'll find a solution that will make all the symptoms go away. Number two, fear and anxiety. You are interpreting every symptom as a scary warning sign that something is seriously wrong with you. Even when you're told everything is fine, you believe that these symptoms are a sign of something worse. Number three, fighting against anxiety. You are resisting and fighting against your symptoms. But unfortunately, even if you manage to fight them off, the symptoms just come back stronger and stronger the next time. Number four, focusing on it. You are constantly checking in with yourself to see how you're feeling. You're monitoring every little feeling, wondering if it's going to get better or worse. Now, these four things are how all anxiety sufferers, including myself, approach and respond to their anxiety. But the unfortunate truth is that doing these things only keeps you trapped with anxiety. Because the more you try to fight and resist against your anxiety and focus on the symptoms themselves, the more sensitized your nervous system becomes and the worse your anxiety gets. Now, what should we do instead? Here's the part that might surprise you. The way to stop letting health anxiety control your life is to stop trying to fix it. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out. Your body knows how to calm itself down on its own, but it can only do that if you stop fighting and resisting against your anxiety. Desensitization happens naturally when you stop being afraid and trying to protect yourself from the symptoms of anxiety. Instead, what you need to do is you need to surrender to the sensations. You need to practice letting them be there without reacting to them. And yes, believe me, I know the sensations are intense and they are scary. But as you allow the sensations to be there without any fear, they lose their power over you. Your sensations will go from feeling threatening and harmful to merely just sensations. And with some time, what's going to happen is your nervous system is going to settle down and all these symptoms are going to fade away. Now, the reason we can surrender to these symptoms, the reason we don't need to fight and defend ourselves, is because these symptoms are just your body's own protective mechanism at work. It is your body's overactive fight or flight response that is creating all of these sensations. So no, I promise you're not being injured or harmed in any way. You're actually in an ultra protective and safe state. All right, if you're ready to dive deeper into the recovery process, download my 5-step cure to anxiety and panic attacks that I've put in the link below. It's a roadmap of the recovery process, and it's the exact same steps that I use to fully overcome my anxiety forever. Lastly, as promised, here is a long list of symptoms that anxiety can create. Take a look and identify all the symptoms that you're experiencing. And again, I need you to understand that it's not some illness, disease, or tumor. It's just a highly sensitized and overactive nervous system that's creating all these symptoms. On your way out, if you can do me a favor and hit the like button and the notification button, it really helps the channel grow and reach more people. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next episode.